welcome to EGO NetCast. I am Martin Lindeskog. Hi, Nicki French.
Hello, Martin. How are you?
I'm fine. Yourself?
Yes, I'm really good, thank you. Yes, having a good day already.
Yeah, great. Great to hear. What are you thinking about? What's on your mind?
Well, I've not long come back from shopping. I had to go and buy some milk because I was running out of milk for my cups of tea and coffee and things for the day.
Good.
So yeah, and bought a few bits extra. So I'm all fine and dandy for just staying in our second lockdown that we're having in this country at the moment.
Please be safe. And it's nice to hear your English words, dandy and marvelous and so on. So keep up that attitude. So talking about milk into tea, what's your favorite tea? I have that instruction from Jonathan Dahl, so we could start with that already.
Okay, well, I have a very organic food life. I buy organic food all the time, and I grow organic food. So my favorite for buying tea is Clipper. There's a company called Clipper Organics, and so I buy their English breakfast tea. But I'm quite partial to a nice organic jasmine tea because then I don't have to add any milk. So I do sometimes like a nice jasmine tea, but they're the only two I really like, if I'm honest. I find the others aren't strong enough because I do like a really strong cup of tea.
Well, that's good to hear, like a builder's tea. Yeah, so great. So, and talking about organic and also your own plants and so on. So that's good in this lockdown time. What do you grow? What kind of plants do you have?
So this year, I didn't expect to be growing anything this year because I was supposed to be on a theatre tour, but obviously that had to stop in March. So I took the opportunity to order some seeds from my, again, organic suppliers, and I have grown potatoes, which I've only just finished, actually. They lasted me all the way through summer. And I still have onions out there. I have carrots out there. I've had beetroot. I've had cucumbers. And what was the other thing? Oh, that's about it, really. But mainly the potatoes have been wonderful. That was so nice to have.
That's great to hear. So... And I did a search on you on the internet, on Google, and I found, impressive 124,000 results. And it started out with Wikipedia, one in English and one in Swedish, videos, your official website, nickifrench.com.
Which needs updating. I need to warn everyone, it really needs updating at the moment. So, yes, I will be updating that soon.
As a new media advisor, we could talk about that. But I know that you have a great management team behind you, main stage there. So
I do.
They will probably give you some good hints there. But I think it looks totally okay.
It looks okay. It's just a bit out of date. I need to put some things on there that are more relevant to now. But yes, my agent, Matt, he is so helpful with anything to do with computers because I'm not that great. So, he kind of takes over when I mess it all up. He's done that a few times.
That's all good. So, but it's in a way never-ending story, or with your website, it's never finished. So in these times, it's good to update. And I saw also you had an Instagram account that you have an official one, but you haven't posted anything there yet. But you had linked to your
now there's
Twitter
a story
account
behind that.
Yeah, please the story if you want to share.
Well, yes, apparently I do have an Instagram account, but it was set up when I was working with Mike Stock back about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so his team set up the Instagram account, and we just need to contact them and get the details because I have no idea how to get into it or anything.
Yeah.
So
the login, and I know that it's so interacted or intertwined. So Instagram is owned by Facebook, and it could be very easy to log in your Instagram account when you have Facebook. But it could also be a jungle there, and it could mess up the whole thing. So It's good to take care of that step by step.
Another one that Agent Matt can deal with.
Yeah, that's great. Good to hear. So then you have this site about all your songs. And then on top here, also on the first page, is Spotify. So you're there too. And then
Yes.
and your Facebook account. And then
Yes.
as a fellow podcaster, you have been on a podcast called Eurovision Legends. So could you tell about that?
Yes. Was that the one with Emil?
I think so. I saw the search,
Yes.
and
Yes.
for the record, Nicki, I would joke a bit now, and Jonathan knows about that. I'm not so much about Eurovision songs, but
Okay.
that's another time for another. But now, when I have the story, I want to share a bit of memories and so on. So in 1980, do you remember one contest there from Belgium?
In 98?
1980.
Yes, 1980. Oh, goodness,
Yeah.
that was a long time ago. Gosh, yes, I don't think I was nothing to do with it, I can tell you that.
The song almost came last, but they won in Belgium. It was Telex, and they
Right.
won. They had a song called Eurovision, and it was a
Yes.
satire about the whole showbiz and the Eurovision contest.
And there
And
have been
nowadays
many
it have been
since.
very big. Yeah, so I
Yes.
thought that was funny as liking electronic music. So that's my take on it. But it's
Okay.
great that you could have a podcast about everything. And here in Sweden, it's pretty big. You follow it like a drama. It's lots of tabloids writing about it, contests, and so on.
Well, of
And we
course,
were
Sweden is
jumping back.
very big on Eurovision, so
Yeah,
you can't get away from it
with the
there.
history from ABBA and so on. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's good songs and the history. But do you want to talk about that when you did the Eurovision there in Stockholm?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the proudest moments of my life, and I'm still very connected with many people to do with Eurovision in the UK.
Great.
And I co-host a thing called the London Eurovision Party every year, where we invite that year's contestants to perform. And I still have a huge love for everything to do with Eurovision, and obviously. It was very exciting for me to perform in Stockholm because many Eurovision fans feel that Sweden is sort of the main home of Eurovision, really, because you put so much into it. You know, you have Melody Festivalen that runs for months and months, and it's a huge event over in Sweden. So it was a big honour to be singing in that country. And we were looked after so well, and I had such a great time. And I've returned quite a few times for Pride events in Stockholm as well. So yeah, it was just a wonderful experience.
So now that's great to hear. So now I will get probably angry emails from all kind of from Podchaser, but I'm joking now a little bit, pulling your leg. But that's great to hear that you have that experience. I'm coming from the other side of Sweden, and that's we call it the Best Coast or the West Coast. So that's in Gothenburg, the second largest city. Have you have the honor to visit Gothenburg also on the West Coast?
Sadly, no. The only part of Sweden I've visited so far is Stockholm.
Yeah, but that's the capital and the biggest city and so on. So that's great to hear. And you're true about the Melody Festival and all the story. But I must say, and I'm not an expert on this, so I don't really have a say in this. But I think England, together with Germany and France, that's pay most of it, or the history-wise have done.
That's correct.
And
yes.
the real word Eurovision or the song Eurosong, it was like a format, like 3, 4, 5 minutes, and in a certain way. And the English and the Britain and United Kingdom to have all included, they were mastering this. And for many years, I remember, they won and won and won, and they did special songs for the contest.
Yes.
But then maybe later on, it was other. I think the whole thing with Eurovision is interesting to follow, like tactics and how different countries are voting for different songs, and how it's like a game in a way. So that I think is interesting to follow along. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah. So France, Germany, United
yeah,
Kingdom, Italy, and Spain are all part of the Big Five, as it's
yeah,
called, because they do a sort of they tend to fund
yeah,
most of the
yeah.
contest, and so their sort of feedback on that is that they don't have to go through the semi-finals
Aha, okay.
nowadays, so they automatically qualify for the final, which I think is a
Mm,
shame. I think if it were even, then it would be good to have everybody having to compete to get into the final, because the other countries kind of resent the fact that they automatically
mm,
qualify. So we tend to not score so well, but sometimes that's down to the song,
yeah.
so but also, yes, there is kind of partisan voting. It tends to be, I think, more to do with the fact the next door neighbouring
Yeah.
country will know the artist and they'll know that style of
Mm,
music. So it's the sort of thing that they're used
yep.
to. So, yes, it's not all political, but there is a bit of political stuff
Yeah.
in there, of course.
But it could be, for that way, it could be interesting to follow. And as I said, I mean, I'm all for it that you have an interest and passion and a bit of fun to do it. So it's great.
Yeah,
That,
yeah, and I mean, when you're taking
yeah.
part, it's very, very
Mm,
serious. However, yeah, certainly in the United Kingdom, we tend to treat it as a bit of
yeah.
fun as an
Mm,
audience. However, as I say, when you are the participant, it's a very serious business, and it's a huge honour to represent your country at
mm.
anything is such an honour. So yeah, I have a huge love for the contest. So yeah, you're not going to change my mind on that
No,
one.
I'm not attempting to do that, but I mean, for the record, I had to say it because I mean, I say what I think. So it's funny to hear that, and maybe some would have a
Yeah.
giggle about that. So then we have to talk about that when you represent your country. How is it to represent your country when your last name, your surname, is inspired
It's
by
French,
France?
yes.
You have done a fun thing about that. Couldn't you tell the listeners about
Well,
that?
oddly enough, the someone in promotions at the record company who released the single at the time back in 2000 had this idea of putting a banner on the CD that said "Back British, Buy French."
Yeah.
So, and that worked quite well. But it was, yeah, it is my original name.
Mm,
It's my original surname.
yep.
I was born, Nicki French or Nicola French. So yes, it's my maiden name. Then I'm married. I was actually married when I did Eurovision. However, even my husband suggested to me that I kept the name
Mm,
French as a professional name because it was what I was known by already. I'd already built up a sort of reputation
yep.
in the music industry, and so there was no point changing it as a professional name. I mean, on legal documents, of course, but in professional stage, I've always been Nicki French,
Mm.
so there was no point changing it. But yes, it was the subject of a little bit of discussion, let's say, when I was representing the United Kingdom as Nicki
I
French.
think that's
But it all worked.
like
It all worked
like
fine.
guerrilla marketing, and then you will be remembered. That's what I'm saying. And also when you search online, you have now a reputation and content out there. So I think that's perfect to do that in that way. And Twitter, I like also
Yeah.
your handle, Nicki Frenchy, and that you have that.
Yes. Well, and funnily enough, it was actually another friend of mine known as Dr. Eurovision in the United
Yeah.
Kingdom who he helped me set up the Twitter account. In fact, he set up the Twitter account
Mm,
for me, let's be honest. And when he was trying to get my name, there was already someone that had the handle Nicki
yep.
French. So he gave me the options. And when he said Nicki Frenchy, I jumped at it because I said, well, I'm known as Frenchie
Mm,
a lot of the time. So, to people that know me well, they call me Frenchie.
mm,
So I thought, yep, that one will work. That one works for me. So that's how the Twitter handle got started.
Great. Yeah, and I like to see you a bit active there, and you retweeting things like the record label Energize and the management, and also talking about the Eurovision Songcast. It's Eurovision and Europe, but also Israel is there because they have a history, and now I think also Australia. Isn't that true?
Australia, Azerbaijan. Yes, there's a lot of non-European countries in there. However, it's the European Broadcasting Company, and Australia is a fringe member of the European Broadcasting Company, so they're allowed to be in there.
And a huge market and interest. And I saw that you retweeted Kylie Minogue's latest album there now, Disco, that I've listened to. So that's great.
I don't know. I didn't know that I did retweet it. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
You have to talk about management about that. Yeah.
Yes,
it's a great album. And we'll talk about your album here soon also when I've gone through the list here. So then you had also a fandom page called Eurosong Contest Fandom on the first page. And then I went to DuckDuckGo, that's an alternative search engine, and there I found Internet Movie Database about you, and also All Music. So you're covered here in different ways.
Wow.
And I have to share my memories because one song is called Total Eclipse of a Heart. And I said, because without saying anything about our age, Nicki, we are about the same age. So then I was thinking, I think that song title. And then I'll start listening to now a mix by Matt Pop. I recognize this song. This was some time ago, I said. And I think I remember some, cassette tapes with mixed different songs and so on. So could you tell about that song, Total Eclipse of a Heart?
Yes. So I was approached by a friend of mine, John Springate, who actually wrote my Eurovision song. Mm-hmm. I had worked with him in his studio back in sort of early 1990s, late 1980s, recording demo tracks and things. And he contacted me one time to ask about recording a dance version of the classic song Total Eclipse of the Heart. And at the time, I wasn't very keen because I thought, well, A, it's too much for me. It's too big a song. And B, I thought, you can't mess with classics like that.
No.
But I thought, well, give it a go. I might as well. And it worked. And so it went well as selling it in the clubs as a 12-inch disc. And then Mike Stock and Matt Aitken, who had started their new company, loved this record. Mm-hmm. They got to hear it and decided that they wanted to work with me and release it on a more broad level, on a more mainstream level. And that's how the big international hit became the big international hit it was, because thanks to them, they sent it around the world, and it's given me a wonderful career in places like Brazil and in Europe generally. And it's a wonderful song to sing. When I tried to sing it, it just fit, it just worked, and I love it. I'm very lucky to have that as my kind of handle, really. I do not sing a show without singing that song in there. So it's a wonderful song to be associated with. So I'm very, very lucky to have that.
That's great to hear. And as I said, you had a long career. As you have as long as Rosalla, that have been around for. You have been singing for 30 years, I think, now?
Yes, yeah. Well, I started when I was 12 years old in a group, in a band. So,
wow.
I've been singing probably even longer than her now. So, yes, we're about the same age. But I think, yes, I been singing professionally since I left college. And, it's been a wonderful... I'm very, very happy to have had the career I've had. I'm very lucky, but I do put a lot of work into it. So
that's great to hear. Have you done anything together with Rosalla? Any cooperation?
Yes, I have. I was in the studio with her very recently, actually, doing some backing vocals for her. And yes, there's a few tracks on her new album, which is not released yet, but it's nearly done. There's a few tracks where I've either done some vocal guidance with her in the studio or actually recorded backing vocals for her. So yes, yeah, we're good friends. She's a very, very lovely lady.
Yes, she is. And thanks again, Jonathan, listening to this. Jonathan Dahl for getting this podcast episode together. And that was episode 105. So, yeah, that's great to hear. How would you label yourself? I know it's hard, but if you go there back in the day when you go to the record store and vinyl, you had different categories because you have probably done all kind of styles and music and songs. But what would you, if you introduce somebody to your work, what would you say then?
Oh, gosh. Well, I like to sing lots of different styles, but I guess I'm best known for pop dance pop, whatever you like to call it. But I love singing ballads, so I could go into the easy listening section. A lot of people think I've got quite a rocky voice, so on certain songs I could probably be put into the rocky section.
Yeah.
But generally, it's sort of pop, dancey pop, that sort of thing. But as I say, I like to sing a different selection of styles. And I even do musical theatre now. So, yeah, so I sing, songs from The Sound of Music if necessary or things like that. So, yeah, wow. I have a soprano voice. So,
wow.
Yeah, so in classical music, I would be soprano on a good day. Mezzo soprano, not so good. But so lots of different styles. So yeah, just put something of everything in each category.
That's great. What do you listen to yourself when you want to listen to?
Again, a complete mixture. Sometimes I'll listen to songs from shows, from musicals. Other times I will listen to people like, I guess, Faith Hill, Karen Carpenter, Bruno Mars, the Osmonds. I'm very old school. I like harmonies. I'm a huge harmonies person, so anyone that does lots of harmonies is good for me.
Yeah, that's good. And you're talking to a person that's not musical at all in a way. I can't play any instrument. I can't sing. I can't dance. I have 2 left feet. But I enjoy music and all kind of a spectrum. As I said, my grown up in a way with Beatles and other things like that, but also swing, jazz and big band, yes, and also classical. And then I entered the electronics or synthesizer music. So I've listened to lots of that. And it's interesting with Apple Music that they recognize your pattern and your history and what you listen to, and they give you lots of good suggestions there. So I think that's pretty neat to find out new things in a good way. So you have one new song here, and that was coming around Halloween. So that may be fitting. Haunted Heart. Could you tell about?
Yes. Yeah? So this was co-written by a gentleman in the United States called Gordon Pagoda, and a lady called Gloria Sklarov and Michael Woodrum were the other writers. I was first in contact with Gordon back in the early 2000s. He'd written a song called On Your Marks, Get Set, Go Away, which went on to my last album and is actually the most popular song on that album by streets. It's so far ahead of all the others on downloads. And he recently, about a year or so ago, sent us Haunted Heart and another song, which I won't say the title of because we don't have it back yet from the remixers. But he sent us Haunted Heart, and I heard it. I thought, oh, I like that. I'd like to try singing this. So we got the okay from him, and because of lockdown and because of COVID, everything's been slightly delayed. But we had a meeting with the record company on the internet a few months ago, and someone suggested, look, why don't we just try releasing something because people are getting bored of staying at home all day long. They want something new. So we thought, okay, we've got all the mixes ready. Let's put out Haunted Heart. Let's leave it till around Halloween time, because although it's not a song about Halloween, it kind of, the title lends itself to the season. And it's been very, very, very well received. And we did a little video for it and shot it so that it's in black and white, so it's even more scary. I'm very close up, so it's very, very scary. But it's a lovely song to sing, and as I say, people have really taken to it very, very well. So yeah, that's great. And as I say, we have. I recorded 3 tracks this time last year, so they're all ready, and we've been working during lockdown. We've been working on new tracks for another album that potentially is scheduled for release next year. Middle of next year. So we're getting on quite well. I mean, we're now in another lockdown, so we can't go to the studios, but we've got a fair way through. We've got about half the album already under our belts, which is great.
That's great to hear. So yeah, and talk about all kind of songs that you have done. How do you come up with the song? Is it like an experience? Is it some idea that you come up with, or a collaboration, whatnot?
It's different things. I mean, with me, because there's none at the moment that I've written on the potential new album. I may get on to writing some, but at the moment, I'm relying on other people, and we've been sent some wonderful tracks. So I guess you'd have to ask them what sort of inspiration they go with. But I do like to choose songs with decent lyrics, but mainly with a decent tune. The tune grabs me first. You know, if it's got good lyrics, but I'm not bothered about the tune, I'm not going to go for it. So the two together works well for me. And if the tune is good, then that is what grabs me first of all. And then I just do my own thing to it. I then work out lots and lots and lots of backing vocals, because that's my forte, really. I spend so long doing the backing vocals in a studio, and then right at the end I put on the lead. So you know, it's I love doing backing vocals. I love doing them. So I spend so much time doing those, and then sort of run out of time to do the lead. But no, I usually go back in with a fresh ear to do the lead, but I like to get the backing down first, and then I feel like it's more a production. So yeah, it's usually to do with the tune that grabs me first. And that has to grab me, and then I will say, oh, I'd like to record this, please. So yeah, it's a team effort, though. It's between me and my agent and the record company. We usually sort of, you know, he gets the songs in, sends them to me. We both make notes on what we think of them, and then collaborate. And usually Matt and I tend to agree on our reactions to certain songs, and then whichever ones we've gone with, we send to the record company and get their approval, and then I go in the studio and record them.
It's going round and round. So it's interesting how you said with the tune, because you mentioned Brazil and market there. And I like bossa nova music that was popular in the 50s, like with Brazilian artist there. And now it's about the name again, but I will come. He did a performance together with Frank Sinatra, and a great singer also. And I will include that in the show notes. But that's in Portuguese, and I don't know Portuguese or so.
No,
so
I have recorded a song.
I like the melody there. Yeah. So
yeah,
continue.
I have recorded in Spanish, but not yet Portuguese. But my Portuguese is very limited. But when I go to Brazil, I just love it. It's my favourite place to go.
Okay.
I love the reaction I get over there. I work with a live band when I'm over there, and it's wonderful. And the enthusiasm that the audiences show. And of course, I started working over there in the mid-1990s. So the people that were following me then they still come to my shows over there, but of course they now have children, and I've performed at many society weddings over there because the people that were following me are now sort of married with children and so on, and it's wonderful over there. And their favourite song of mine is one called "Did You Ever Really Love Me," which is very well known by other people as my favourite song that I've ever recorded. So when I go over there and I sing it, it's just heaven. I love it.
That's great. Yeah. So nice to hear and see how you can have these different reactions and also get popular in different ways. So that's fascinating. Is it anything else that you want to say about your future plans, or something that you could tell about? Or
well, as I say, I was working on a theatre show called Menopause the Musical 2. It was a comedy, but a comedy musical, and we were having such a fabulous time sort of between January and March. And then, of course, everything had to stop in March because of COVID. But we do have plans to return in the new year. It was going to be January. At the moment, it's rescheduled for March onwards. But there were 5 of us in the cast. There were 4 of us on stage and our understudy stroke director, who we just cannot wait to get back onto the road and get back into shows and, bring some enjoyment to people and bring some laughter into everyone's lives again, because the show was going fantastically well. And I really do miss it because I love doing theatre. I love doing live theatre. And it was, it's an area that I've moved more into in the last few years. And I was having so much fun. So, yeah, I cannot wait to get back to that, as well as, recording the new tracks and so on. But obviously I'll need to get the new album finished before starting the tour again, because there won't be any time once I'm on the tour.
That's great. So, yeah, I'm glad to hear that you have plans and working along. So where could the listeners find you in cyberspace, Nicki?
In cyberspace. So I do have a couple of Facebook pages. One's the official one and one is more personal. I've also got Nicki Frenchy, as you said, on Twitter. There is the website, nickifrench.com, or you can go to my agent's website, which is Mainstage Management, and you'll get information from there as well. Plus Energize Records, who the tracks are all released through, they've always got information on me as well. And if you want any of my back catalogue, that's where you go to. So, yeah, I'm all over the internet, it seems. You can't get away from me.
That's great to hear. So, yeah. So, with that, I thank you very much, Nicki. And we'll talk.
Well, thank you so much. It's been lovely chatting to you. And I would like to give my love to all the people in Sweden as well, because it's a very, very special place for me. So, thank you so much. And thank you for the interview.
That's great. And as I said, I say likewise about England and especially London. So thanks for that, Nicki.
Thank you.